our last lecture, we were talking about skin glands and hair. So there are 4 types of skin glands. Mammary glands produce milk. We have eccrine sweat glands, which are these tightly coiled tubes. And they go directly to the surface. They're not associated with hair follicles. And they make a sweat that is mostly water. 2 skin glands are associated with the hair follicle. And I'll redraw this later in a second for when we actually talk about hair follicles. The first gland is on the hair follicle, and it's called a sebaceous gland. It produces sebum. The sebaceous gland right here is on the hair follicle. It produces oil. The last sweat gland starts very deep. It is actually close to the hypodermis. So notice the lumens here are a lot bigger than the lumens over there. And their duct goes to the hair follicle, like so. So this is an apocrine gland. It goes to the hair follicle. It's mostly lipid and protein in the sweat. There is water still. And it's thought these act as pheromones, messengers between people. And this is in the armpit and groin. And the story I didn't tell you, in other animals like cats and dogs, it is in the anal region and in the buccal region. And you've noticed that dogs and cats like smelling each other's butts and they like rubbing their face on you. Well, that's because the glands in the anal region are markers. They're identifiers saying, "Hi, my name is Thor, destroyer of cat," or "My name is Fuzzball, coffer of hairballs on fine furniture." So that's what the anal glands on them do, and those are apocrine glands. And then their facial glands on the buccal region, they're marking you. So that cat that's rubbing his face, he doesn't love you. He's marking you as his. So, apocrine glands, pheromones, we have them in the armpit and groin region. Talking about hair. So here is our skin again, epidermis, dermis, and hypodermis. And I'm going to actually make a big hole. So the hair follicle is in a sheath, and that is an invagination of the epidermis. So here's our epidermis, and there's an invagination, and that is the root. It has a layer that's part of the epidermis, and then another layer that is part of the dermis, but we're not going to worry about that part. What we care about is what is inside the root sheath. The first layer is a cuticle. So here's the cuticle, and this is toughened melanin, or toughened keratin, I mean. And that is the outer part of the hair. We have a cortex. That is the cortex right there. And the inside layer is then going to be the medulla. On the test, you need to know from superficial to deep, cuticle, cortex, medulla, deep to superficial, medulla, cortex, cuticle. Now, there's also 3 regions of the hair follicle, I guess. You have a bulb right here. And this is where the stem cells are, and they're growing. This right here is the root. And this part that is outside, the shaft. So the shaft would be growing out like so. Here's a picture I got online. So this right here would be the sheath. Then we have the cuticle right there. We have the cortex there. And we'll have the medulla there. So medulla, cortex, cuticle, then the sheath is out here again. Part of it's part of the epidermis. And there's our sebaceous gland, follicle empties there. And this is the rector pili muscle that gives us goosebumps. Talking about hair color. How eumelanin is mostly black. Pheomelanin is red. And that's how you get people with very dark black hair and people with red hair. Blonde hair, and I know the blonde got cut off here, that's a combination. It could be a mixture of the 2 melanins, or it could be just low eumelanin production. The less eumelanin you make, the lighter your hair color, Or this person could have a combination of both melanins. So blonde hair is a little bit more complicated, not concentrated. Now, lastly, gray hair. That you stop making melanin. I believe we left off on curliness or texture. This young lady has straight hair, and her hair, if you look at the shape, is nice and round. Her hair is wavy, and it's an oval, and her hair is even wavier, and it's flatter. So the flatter hair gets, the more curly. So when you use a hair curler, you're basically flattening your hair, and when you're using a hair straightener, you're making the hair rounder. So that leads us to fingernails. They're derived from the stratum corneum, and they're made out of keratin. The cells are packed in a different way, so we have this tough claw-like substance there. Now it grows from the nail root, so here's the nail going underneath, and we have the nail root. It's coming off of the epidermis, and it grows. It grows at different rates depending on abrasion or how much you're using it. And that's pretty much all I have to say. My favorite part is actually the clear part right here, which is the luna, which means moon. And it can come off. I'm a runner. My toenails come off all the time. It's gross. Grosses my kids and my wife out. And if you hit it with a hammer, it bleeds underneath. What you're supposed to do then is take a hot drill bit, not attached to the drill, and poke a hole and let the blood out. No, I've never hit my fingernail with a hammer before. Neither of those are on the test, by the way. So, what are sebaceous glands? No, mammary glands produce milk. Sweat glands that produce a cooling? No. Glands that make a viscous set? No. They're oil glands. So again, you need to know what the glands make and where they exit. What are the apocrine glands? No, I did not cut. Okay, I cut and paste all of these. No, they don't make milk, even though the mammary glands are a modified apocrine gland. Nope, it's not mostly water. It is oil and protein. And this is in the armpit and groin to the hair follicle. So what are eccrine glands? By process of elimination, it must be B. Produce sweat, that's water, and it's duct to the skin. I love doing these questions on tests because it makes students think. Heidi has curly red hair. Oh, Heidi. Which statement is most likely true? She dyes her hair, nothing in the question. So what I do is I cross that out, and anything with one in it, I cross out. So, red hair. Is it melanin or pheomelanin? It's more pheomelanin. So I know 2 is wrong. So anything with 2 in it, I cross out. So now I have a 50% chance it's either D or E. Her hair is more oval than round, more round than oval. Well, curly hair is more oval or flat, so it would be that one. So 3 and 4, the answer is D. So that's how you need to go to these questions, is you look at which ones are correct or which ones are false. If you know something is false, eliminate all choices with the false answer. And you might want to have scratch paper on your test while you're doing this since it's online. But on a paper test, you want to just cross the heck out of that question. So that is our last video. Thank you very much. I will see you in lab.